Yeah, Hell's Half Acre was tough. You don't know what kind of entity is down there. You don't know.
There's no entity down there.
It's like something tried to rip at my face. Well, it's been a couple of months. The cut has healed. Jeff and I are definitely ready to take on our next adventure.
What am I supposed to enter in this thing here?
We're going to Springfield, Missouri. It's the way to say it, really. Missouri.
I've heard.
One of the first things I noticed in my dad's journal was his fascination with survivors. He must have met with hundreds of people that should be dead, but somehow they're not, they're alive. And after investigating them, he always came to the same conclusion. Logic and science have very little to do with it. So here's the intel. This man supposedly was sucked out of his home through the front door by a tornado, catapulted thousands of feet, and he lives to tell the tale.
And you believe this story?
Right off the bat, I think there are two very simple explanations. Number one, the kid's not telling the truth. Number two, there's a logical and scientific reason why he survived.
Well, after traveling across the country to Springfield, Missouri...
Is this it?
I hope so. Now I want to know, is this legend true? Did he actually fly 1,300 feet and land with nothing but a scratch?
I gotta hand it to Ricky. He got in touch with the family, set up a meeting for tonight.
Hi,
Hello.
this is Kelly?
Yes.
How do you do? I'm Ricky Golden, my buddy Jeff.
But until I hear the story for myself,
Thank you
Come on
very
in.
much.
I still have my doubts.
Why don't we just start from the beginning and you tell me what happened?
Okay. That day, we had Matt, my grandson, come over, and he helped us put a porch together. We was putting a porch the full length of the trailer.
It was a fairly nice day.
Hot. It was really hot that day, and we didn't have any idea that there was going to be a storm.
So you put the last nails in
And so we went in and we started getting calls saying there was a tornado headed that way. And then Matt hollered at me. And by the time I got in the kitchen cabinets was coming towards me. I actually didn't think that the tornado had hit us until then. That end of the trailer exploded. And I couldn't find Matt. I just felt lost. You know, I just felt like I couldn't catch my breath. And I thought, now I've got to find him. No matter what. Dead or alive, I just had to find him. And about that time, the pickup pulled up, and Matt got out. And I was never so glad to see anybody in my life. It just absolutely, I just hugged him and hugged him and hugged him.
So Matt walked away from it.
Just a scratch on his head. You know, we were all right. So that was the best part. Thank you.
I would have to be a really cold person not to feel for this woman. Did Matt go out and buy a lottery ticket that day as well?
No.
But
No.
we still have no idea what happened to Matt from the time that he disappeared to the time that he pulled up in that truck.
So after traveling across the country to Springfield, Missouri, we find the grandma of this person that was thrown 1,300 feet.
I just hugged him and hugged him and hugged him.
So Matt walked away from it.
Just a scratch on his head.
Grandma told us we wouldn't be able to meet Matt till tomorrow. So in the meantime, we're going to meet with some local meteorologists to learn a little bit more about the story. The only logical reason that I can think of for someone surviving such a thing,
Jeff,
Yeah.
hey.
is that they were laid on the ground relatively gently compared to the force of the storm.
It occurred about 3 years ago. This was the second worst outbreak in my 23 years in Springfield. Originally, it was an F3, and it was just a huge storm.
F3 tornado, what does that mean?
The F3 refers to the Fujita damage scale.
We're talking winds of 115 miles an hour. Path, I believe, of about a quarter-mile wide.
Wow, big destruction.
Mobile homes don't stand a chance with that.
To know that we were looking at the inside of that storm when he was flying around it, it's incredible.
So guys, coming from a science background, in your minds, do you think it's possible that this kid could have been tossed 1,300 feet from an F3 tornado and just simply got up?
I don't think we know enough about the inner workings of a tornado to be able to tell you. We know that objects get thrown out the top of these thunderstorms, and these things are 50,000 feet high. So, you know, what is going to keep a human being from going up 50,000 feet and getting tossed out the top? We don't know.
It's very frustrating to hear that science doesn't know what's happening inside these tornadoes any more than I do.
Most people in mobile homes that are completely demolished don't live to tell us that their home was demolished.
So this guy is confirming everything that I believe. No human being should survive something like this. I am one step closer to proving this ain't got nothing to do with science.
Here's what we know. We know storm did happen, and we know that Matt survived. Other than that, we don't know anything. We gotta meet Matt.
I cannot wait to meet this guy. And I'm a little nervous because Jeff and I have so many questions. Matt.
Yeah?
Ricky, how are you? Plus, this is my buddy Jeff.
Hey, Matt, good to meet you.
We have a ton of questions.
I don't know how someone can survive such a thing and not even have a single scar. I mean, the guy looks fine. I want to know how the heck you survived. I mean, how did you do it? What were the circumstances? And I really want to get to the bottom of what happened.
So, Matt, can you show us where it happened? Can you take us there?
Sure. Just let me go grab my keys.
Cool, thanks. I know Jeff has his doubts, and I still have some questions. I just hope we get some answers now.
This right over here is where the house was, if you guys want to follow me.
Okay, Matt, so just show us exactly where the house is positioned.
Right here would be the front porch, and the beginning of the trailer was right here. And the end of it was over there, probably about 30 feet, maybe.
So we're on the famous porch now?
Yep. The only thing left standing. And when the storm hit, you know, I can feel everything tipping and turning. And as soon as the lights kicked off, you knew, I knew something bad was going to happen. The very last thing I seen was my grandmother's face. She looked terrified, you know, confused, didn't know what was going on. Whatever's about to happen, you know, I hope she'd be all right.
So, Matt, you fly out the trailer this way.
I thought I was getting sucked out that way, but I was actually sucked out that way.
So you exit the trailer this way, and you end up all the way over there.
And I woke up in that field out there by that red barn.
I mean, you hear a story about a guy who's being tossed thousands of feet, and you're still in the air at this point, right?
Far as I know, yes.
I got a series of questions for Matt to try and get to the bottom of this.
So show us exactly where you landed,
Maybe right here. I was laying on my back.
So you went from all the way over there
Yes.
to all the way near the barn.
Yes. And I sit up, you know, I looked around, looked at my body, you know, what I could from the lightning. There was debris all through that field right there. The barn behind me was destroyed, the roof was off of it.
The first thought that goes through your mind is what?
My grandmother's dead. That's what I thought. My grandma's dead.
To hear that story and put yourself in that man's shoes, I can only imagine the fear that he felt inside.
As soon as, you know, I came back together, got my senses, and figured out, you know, where I was at, I turned around, and I ran down to my best friend's dad's house. He got on his cell phone, and he got the 911 dispatcher on there.
Hello? What's going on? I was laying on the couch, and next thing I noticed, then I was in the middle of the field, and I woke up.
Anybody else with you that was hurt, or?
No, my grandmother's in the house, or right now, somewhere out there, and my granny's 62.
Okay. 911, do you have rescue going?
Yes, we do.
They came down and got me and brought me back down there to meet up with my grandmother. And as soon as I seen her, it was just like a weight lifted off my shoulders.
Tell us about that a little bit.
It's hard to describe the feeling, you know, seeing her face and I don't know, that smile, you know, when we seen each other, it was something else.
This is clearly a moving story. But as unpleasant as it is, we need to get to the truth of the story.